when you're in survival mode, there's so much chaos and potential trauma around you that it's hard to focus on anything else but surviving, right? Your next meal, even if you're not poor, like when you're in a state of hypervigilance where you're always on alert, the body doesn't get to rest. And so conversations like meditating, manifesting, choose positive, happy thoughts, like they're just not realistic. Welcome to Mindset Mastery Podcast, where we explore the intersections of motherhood and entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Julissa Edwards, and in each episode, we're diving into mindset, emotional regulation, and the real stories of mom entrepreneurs navigating both business and family life. Let's get into it. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Mindset Mastery. Today, we're going to be doing something a little bit special where I'm thinking about doing these once a month. It's going to be like a little mini series about my current client case studies. Of course, I will ensure that no private information is notified. And honestly, I'm just taking the themes of what's happening positively within the clients that I'm working with to just show our listeners, you, how possibly you can implement this in your own life. My intentions is for this to be educational, insightful, and also relatable, since these are real problems, real conversations, and under my mentorship, how it's being resolved, how they're going on their healing journey. And so the topics will be broad. Um, and yeah, let's get into it. So let's talk about, I have two client case studies today that they're just doing phenomenal, and they've come such a long way. I simply want to highlight their growth, and give you guys an inside look of what has indeed worked for them, and the importance of reflection, inner work, in order to see the transformational shifts that they have received within their time of working with me. So here we go. Alrighty, so I want to talk to you guys about finding confidence and having self compassion in relationships. I think relationships in general it's one of the biggest themes of your life, right? You are born into this world, and therefore you begin your first relationship, even in utero, in the womb, which is that of you and your mother. That's why motherhood wounds, fatherhood wounds tend to dig so deeply, because it's your first experience. Um, I ideally, right? And so even if it's a horrible, God forbid, a first interaction like that is not positive, that's still your first interaction with another person. So with mama first, because you're in her womb. Then of course, once you are delivered, you are then cared for by either her, or let's say doctors, nurses, whatever. But like those days thereafter, you're forming a relationship with your mother. If the father is there in the picture, you're forming a relationship with your father or whoever is in that household. And from the very beginning, a baby is already introduced to people, and those are your first beginner relationships. Okay. And so this conversation isn't going to be about motherhood and fatherhood wounds. I just wanted to bring to light, like, relationships are so important in every phase of your life. You grow up, you go to school, you have relationships with your peers, you have relationships with your colleagues, you have teachers, coaches, if you're doing any type of sports. It never ends, and it goes on and on. And the way that you relate to others, it has a grand reflection of how you relate to yourself, right? So whenever I talk to my clients about growth and learning and inner work, the inner work is always within self. Like, even if your husband's pissing you off, or your kids are pissing you off, or your partner isn't doing this, or you hate your boss, it's like, okay, that is important. And I'm not knocking that they might be doing some things that are annoying or triggering or whatever. But at the end of the day, everything always comes back to self. All right. And so with this particular client, gone from transitioning from survival mode to thriving. They are someone who suffers from anxiety and has done so for the majority of their life. And in our time working together, oh my goodness, we have made so much progress. And it's like baby steps, like week by week, we, chisel away at new concepts, so on and so forth. And, with homework and making sure that they're giving valid effort and doing the things that they're supposed to do. And just as a side note, if you've ever been in therapy and you weren't able to complete the homework, or you didn't, I don't know, see progression, it's never me as a therapist. It's never like, oh my God, they don't want the help. Oh my God, they're not giving this enough attention. Like, sure, sometimes that may be what it is, but there's always an underlying reason to that. And it's my job as a therapist to find that out. So if the homework isn't working, it's not like, all right, well, they don't care. Bye. It's more like, what's coming up for you? Do you not find the homework that it would be helpful? Like, there's always a reason as to why you're not doing something. As I also don't believe in like lazy people. People aren't lazy. There's something coming up for them that is not allowing them to finish said task or whatever their goals are. Right. And so, again, it's always about leaning in and learning more about the person. And again, my job as a therapist is to help you figure that out alongside you. So, we're doing the homework every week. They're doing phenomenal. Sometimes they're doing it, sometimes they're not. It's completely normal. And at the end of the day, we're chiseling away at many constructs in their life, with children, with spouse, with elders, with their parents, within their communities. They're learning how to be more vocal within their opinions in a peaceful and respectful way. They're learning to stand up for themselves. They're learning to not take the load of everything. They're learning how to say no. That's a big one for so many people. They're learning how to say no. And within that process, the beautiful shift that occurred is that they stated that they feel like they're no longer in survival mode. When you're in survival mode, there's so much chaos and potential trauma around you that it's hard to focus on anything else but surviving, right? Your next meal, even if you're not poor, like when you're in a state of hypervigilance where you're always on alert, the body doesn't get to rest. And so conversations like meditating, manifesting, choose positive, happy thoughts, like they're just not realistic because you're doing so much to fight emotions and thoughts elsewhere because of your environment. And so, just to be clear, this person's environment has not changed. What has changed is their inner world. And I mention this because there's like a cadence that happens in a typical healing journey where we're doing what we're doing exactly with this client. We're meeting them where they're at. We're giving homework where it's feasible. We're chipping away baby steps at concepts until the body is able to no longer be in survival mode, where then the real magic happens. Because now they're realizing that, whoa, hold on, wait a second. I can choose to focus more on the positive and not the negative, even though nothing in their life has changed. The same problems are still there. Is it getting better with the people in their life because their communication skills are bettering? 1000%. But the stressors still lie. The only difference is that they're no longer taking it as a personal attack. They're no longer seeing it as things have to get done right now, which is super big with anxiety. They're no longer speaking to themselves in a negative manner. And whether you're aware of it or not, you're having at minimum 60,000 thoughts a day. And those thoughts, I mean, you got to self-reflect, but like, are they positive? Are they negative? Are you thinking things like, oh, I'm always late, or I'm always running behind, or I don't know how to deal with the kids, or oh my God, am I going to be able to pay my bills? Like, do they sound like that? Or do they sound like, wow, you're doing a really good job today. I'm so proud of you. That was really, really hard, but you did get through that conversation. Like, what does your internal chatter sound like? And that's what's greatly shifted for this client. Hey mamas, let me ask you this. Do you dream of starting your own business but feel overwhelmed by where to begin? You're not alone, and that's exactly why I created our free WhatsApp group, Balancing Business and Babies, a safe space for moms like you who are ready to take that first step towards entrepreneurship while balancing the beautiful chaos of motherhood. Inside, you'll find daily mindset shifts and tips. encouragement from women on the same journey, and bi-weekly free community calls. Whether you are still in the dreaming phase or ready to take action, this group is here to support you every step of the way. And the best part? It's totally free. Just click the link in the show notes below to join. Mama, your dreams are very much possible, and you don't have to do it alone. Let's build your vision together, and I'll see you in the group inside. Their internal chatter has become more positive, and it's not just as easy as speak nicely to yourself. Like, I wish it was that easy, but it's not. And so the work that we have done prior has allowed them to get to that place, and now they're seeing that, holy crap, I could have been in control of my emotions a long time ago. And to their defense, yes, they that is a factual statement. But when healing, you got to take baby steps. Also for your nervous system, like, you have to take baby steps in the sense of meeting yourself where you're at and only doing what is truly feasible for you at that moment. So know that when you're taking those minimal baby steps, it is completely normal to feel both good, like you have a plan, and also scared because you're doing new things that you've never done before. Okay, that's why it's really important to have trust also with your mentor, counselor, therapist. There has to be good rapport there, because if not, you're not going to trust this person to do what they're telling you to do. Um, and so there's so much power in, like I said before, self compassion and setting boundaries so that your body and mind have the space to think. If you're always thrown into the next act or the next activity or the next thing, when are you self reflecting throughout the day? And if your thought right now is like, oh, I'm too busy, I could never, I'm like, well, one, you're listening to this podcast, so you obviously have some time, and I congratulate you for doing that, right? And maybe take this as a sign that, like, you probably need more insight, more self reflection. And you go from a place from shifting from a pressure filled life to a life of acceptance, where no, we don't accept things if they're shitty or bad, but you accept that this is where you are right now, and you accept that these are the moves you need to make in order to get out of this current state of mind, or like literally physical reality, right? And so within all the growth and change that I've seen with this client, I think the most helpful thing has been that, one, they trust me. I trust them too. We have great rapport. Um, there's open communication when things are really hard. There's open, like, I don't expect my clients to lie to me in a sense of like, yeah, that was great. It is working. Or I also don't expect them to be super negative where it's like, this is terrible, nothing is working. Like, you need to be honest, but there also needs to be accountability and the permission for me to give you real feedback, where it's like, all right, this is your anxiety talking. Okay, no, this was a really bad event that did indeed happen at work. I would also be angry at that, but with all of it, there has to be open flow of communication. And what I often find within my clientele is that they've sometimes seen therapists prior to me that I'm sure there was nothing wrong with the therapist themselves. I mean, I can't talk for everybody, but it's not that they were a bad therapist. It's just that they didn't have that trust factor, that rapport, that embracing of, we're going to get real down and dirty, and I'm really going to pick apart your life in the most loving way possible so you can come out ahead. Okay, and so those are some of the things that I wanted to bring up in that example. And you know what? I'm gonna keep it to one for this time, and just go a little bit deeper with some of the tools that we've been using in their practice to see if you guys can also bring this into your attention, or try it for yourself. I would say maybe the four things that we've worked on most have been the importance of self-reflection in all relationships. If somebody is triggering you, if somebody is causing you to get really angry, I would love for you guys to ask yourself, how often have I felt this way with this person? And how often have I felt this exact way with other people? A trigger is only a trigger if it's happened many times before. And so if you're getting bothered by the way that let's say even a child is responding to you, it's not that that specific child has given you the same problem over and over again. It's more so the likelihood that whatever the child is doing that's causing that emotional reaction, you felt that many, many, many times before. So, for example, if your partner is, I don't know, not being very helpful and they're assuming that you just got it and can take care of it all, that can be annoying. And then I would ask you, how often have you felt that way? How often have you felt that you've been picking up the slack for other people? And maybe you'll say something like, oh, my whole life, or oh, since this time. I say, okay, cool. And what responsibility do you have over that? That's the type of conversations that it's like, yeah, you can point the finger outward, but at some point you have to point it inward. It's like, yeah, okay, maybe you have been put in situations your whole life where you have had to pick up the slack and it wasn't fair. But in the moments where you could speak up, did you? In the moments where you could have said no, did you? And so have you created this illusion that you do have it all together and you can always take on more and et cetera, et cetera. Okay. That's just an example there. There's a lot of power in assertiveness, being able to clearly express your needs, especially in relationships, to help with mental clarity and emotional peace for yourself and then for those around you. My client now has been able to speak in their assertiveness with multiple relationships and most being with their partner, and now even their partner is stating that they have a better understanding of how to better treat my client because they're being so much more clear in the way that they're communicating what they need at this time. I always say with love, closed mouths don't get fed. You got to open your mouth. You have to speak and you have to be very clear with the things that you're asking for and not be mean or critical or nasty about it. Just honest conversation with love and empathy. Self compassion is another key point that has really helped this client's healing journey. And then, of course, we do the emotional regulation skills or tools, some things like kickboxing, journaling, breath work, prayer, meditation, things like that, that allows the client to shift from an anxious place to a place of flow, even if it's just for the moment. And within due time, within practice, allowing that to help them stay grounded and focused. So, this is a super short episode. I hope it is insightful. Again, if you want more like this, please leave a review and what you love so I can continue doing more things like this. Again, my intentions are to do this once a month as a mini series within our normal conversation of topics. And if you really feel called to do so, and if it really helped you in any way, shape, or form, then go ahead and screenshot this episode, tag me in my stories, or tag this account in your stories so I can hear exactly who was reaching, how it's landing, and what you took away from it. Something that I always ask my clients, and since this is a case study, I'll ask you, and hopefully you can answer it either through a comment, a testimonial on your listening, on wherever you're listening to this podcast, or via stories on Instagram. What is your biggest takeaway? What did you learn most? What was the most pivotal thing for you in this episode? And please share it with us all so that the learning can continue beyond just this one point here. My socials are at julissa.edwards_counseling. That is my main page. And then my other page just for the podcast is at the Healthy High Performer. So that is all for today, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you all very soon. Bye for now. Thank you for joining me today on Mindset Mastery Podcast. I hope today's conversation inspired you to embrace your own journey of balancing motherhood and entrepreneurship. Remember, it's all about mastering your mindset to create a life of success and fulfillment in both areas. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, share it with a friend, and leave a review. Your support helps us reach more incredible moms just like you. Until next time, keep showing up, keep growing, and mastering your mindset.